You know what time it is. It is time for America's favorite politically incorrect sports podcast. It is Sports Frenzy 2.0 with the maestro Kevin Crane.
And I'm the conquistador Dave Height. It is February 28th. This will drop on Leap Year Day, the 29th.
As always, very, very appreciative. Very glad to have you aboard. Yes, I know, we are an acquired taste. We're not for everyone.
But we should be, damn it.
Yes. Each and every week we call out the idiots, the morons in the world of sports. And then, of course, on the weekend edition, we do the same for Hollywood and pop culture. So deal with it. Now, of course, many would say this is a downtime right now in the world of sports.
Little bit of a lull. You got the combine going on down in Indy.
Spring training is in full swing.
NASCAR.
Now we're a couple races in.
They're 2 races in now. Just finished up at Atlanta.
Yep, finally we get a race in without any weather delays, any weather issues. And I will tell you what. I will tell you that this could have been the best race I have seen in a long, long time.
Yeah, I was expecting another boring follow the leader like Daytona or Talladega, which Atlanta has been. No, the track is worn in. They were running 3-4 wide. Passing was fantastic.
Yep.
It was a hell of a race.
Yes. And ratings were up. Good to see that. Last year, what the equivalent race would have been Fontana, but it was still up a little bit over Fontana, up big time over last year's Atlanta race. So the fans know. The NASCAR fans are not flyover country stupid. We know when things are starting to look good for a track, for a particular race,
then we will watch.
And this will definitely get me watching Atlanta next year because this was, like you said, 4 wide, passing back and forth.
Yeah, you could get a good run to get around somebody without any help. Get a little bump to shoot ahead. No, it was a very good race.
Yep, and then we get the photo finish, the 3 wide photo finish.
The next closest, God, that was insane. Well, you had Harvick getting his first Cup win in 2001 in a photo finish over Jeff Gordon. But this was, I think, the first 3 wide photo finish since the first Daytona 500 on the super speedway.
Yeah, and this was great. I mean, personally it sucked because I had Ryan Blaney, but great finish, great race. And they were making a big deal about there's only a handful of cars who have not been involved in an incident or an accident. But it wasn't, like you said, it wasn't a Daytona Talladega situation.
Downforce and cosmetics wasn't as big a deal here at Atlanta. You had guys who were involved in wrecks who were still running up in the top 10.
Right. Yeah, the wrecks weren't taking out half the field. The wrecks would involve 3, 4, 5 cars.
Yeah, what was it, 16 on that second lap fiasco?
Yep, but like you said, most of them came back out.
Yeah.
Again, I cannot tell you how impressed I was with this race. This is the race you need to show your friends who are like, I don't really want to watch NASCAR. I'd rather watch pickleball.
No, you wanted to watch
show
this
them
race.
The Atlanta race from 2024. Because this race was fantastic from beginning to end. Now, there were some little odd things that happened.
Hey, can I get a baseball mitt to wear while I'm driving? Joey.
I like to call it the bat glove.
The bat glove with the wing between the thumb and forefinger to try and disrupt some of the airflow to get an aerodynamic advantage. How frickin' lame.
Well, but in the end, it didn't hurt him. He got right back up to the front real quick.
Yeah.
Everything broke the way he wanted to up to that point.
Yeah, until he got caught up in an accident.
No, he
late.
didn't get caught up in an accident. He
He
caused that
caused it.
accident. That was
Idiot.
he just kept drifting up the track. And
Yeah, he was
caused it.
going, and boom.
Yeah. And then, of course, we had not only did Logano get this infraction with the gloves, where he had to start at the back, serve a pass through, but then Stewart Haas Racing again.
Another non-conforming part. Air deflectors on the roof. Both Priest and Gregson docked 35 points.
And that's big, kids. That is big. 35 driver and owner points.
Yep, they're in the negatives.
Yeah, and it just keeps continuing for Stewart Haas. It's just awful. They have not been able to. It's almost like musical chairs with NASCAR in that they're the ones left standing. They didn't get the best drivers. They have not been able to get a cohesive team together like Hendricks or Gibbs or even Trackhouse now.
Yeah, Trackhouse is stellar. Penske has even come to the forefront, and you look at RFK. They're doing well.
They've definitely they've had a rough start to this year, but you got Keselowski, you got Buescher. I would take them any day over what you got right now with Stewart Haas.
Yeah, they're struggling mightily.
And this does not help at all.
No.
And of course, speaking of Trackhouse, we haven't even mentioned the winner of the race. We've already got a wild card winner, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, Daniel Suarez. You know, at this point, you could probably pencil him in for a win a year now.
Yeah, because he's getting to the point. Of course, he's really solid at the road courses.
But he's learning how to drive the speedways.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah, he's probably good for a win a year. So he's now locked in. Again, there are people who will say that no, nothing's guaranteed. Disaster could happen, but come on. He's going to finish in the top 30 in points.
Yeah, he's going to be just
Him and
fine.
William Byron are in. They're locked in. So now, looking at the points, 2 races in, I know, no real panic time setting in yet, but Logano, Keselowski in very, very bad shape right now.
Yep, wrecked out of 2.
They have
not good.
They have got to have good runs at Vegas and pretty much everywhere going forward. Now, at least with Logano, you figure he's gonna win a race somewhere.
Yeah, he will stumble into 1, if not 2.
Keselowski, I don't know.
Yeah, they've got a little work to do for him to get back into the winner's circle.
Yep. Now the final numbers, we mentioned 3 wide. Daniel Suarez won by 0.003 seconds over Ryan Blaney and 0.007 seconds over Kyle Busch. Now, don't usually do this as early as we're going to do it here. My badass of the week. My Clint Eastwood badass of the week is Samantha Busch. After the photo finish, where her husband lost by 0.007 seconds, of course, Kyle, and he seems like he's getting more mature, understanding a little bit more how to know his role.
Yeah.
Be more of a leader than a little brat.
Petulant little bitch that he usually is.
Yeah. So he gets out there and he gets on X, of course, formerly Twitter. And he says, yeah, great race, just needed a couple inches. And then Samantha Busch, kudos to his wife, says, I've been telling you that for almost 20 years. So Samantha Busch,
badass of the week.
Wife of Dirty Bush. Kyle Busch is my badass of the week. Because you gotta love an epic takedown. She's got jokes
all day.
You gotta love an epic takedown like that. And again, it looks like this is what Kyle needed to get off of the Gibbs train to go somewhere else, go to Childress, become the focal point of that team now.
Yep.
Now he seems like he, again, much more mature, calm down, appreciating what he's got.
Yeah, because even when the first 2 races in, even when his car was struggling, he wasn't on the mic constantly bitching about it like he usually was,
Right.
as he historically would do, calling out the crew and cussing them out for the piece of garbage car he had.
Yep. And we should give a shout out. We're going to get to our Las Vegas picks here in just a sec, but I do want to give a shout out for the pole sitter for Atlanta. He has been phenomenal in terms of qualifying, at least so far this year. That's Michael McDowell.
Yeah, McDowell is showing some speed at qualifying. He's actually not been racing horribly, but we'll see. He might get a breakthrough.
Yep. And I don't think we really talked about this all that much last week. Top 10 finish at Daytona for AJ Allmendinger. How the hell does he not have a full-time ride in the Cup Series?
I don't know.
I don't get it. He did nothing last year that would tell me, oh, he can't handle Cup. He's fun. He's a hell of a lot better than Austin Dillon. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Or Gregson.
Or anybody on Stewart. Yeah, anybody on Stewart Haas.
Yeah.
But I digress. I'm sorry. I'm just I love the Dinger.
That's what
God, I never should have said that. She's supposed to love the Dinger, not me. Now I'm thinking of our buddy Jamie's post with the cucumber. Sorry. Inside Sports joke. Frenzy joke. Sorry. All right, so now we move on to race 3 coming up this Sunday, March the 3rd. The Pennzoil 400 from Las Vegas. Dave, who you got?
After a disastrous start in my picks for the first 2 weeks, wrecking out of both Daytona and Atlanta, I got to go with Kyle Larson. I need a good points day.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to go against Kyle Larson given his history, looking at the stats and how well he races at Vegas.
Not only few wins, but he wins stages. Finishes well in the stages, so you got to hope for extra points through that.
And, of course, for those of you who follow our contests on our Facebook page, as well as here on the podcast, we have, of course, because of bitching and whining and complaining from our snowflake panel, we had to make things easier this year because it's not fair if we get eliminated from the playoffs. Then who cares? I want to quit. I don't want to play anymore. Fine.
Suck it up,
Fine. So Dave and Dave did not make the playoffs last year.
No, I finished last.
And he didn't bitch. He didn't whine. He didn't piss and moan and complain. But we had to make it a little more friendly for everybody. So now, all you got to do is win a race.
I think you can still get eliminated quickly.
Or finish in the top 10 in points. Whereas before, it was finish in the top 10 in points.
Yep. So, there you go.
All you got to do is win a race. Just like Daniel Suarez.
We threw the whiners a cucumber.
So, just giving you an update on that. So, despite the fact that Dave says he's had a bad 2 weeks, no way, shape, or form does that really sink him. In years past, it would have been maybe a little bit of panic time.
Yep, but no, it'll be fine.
All he's got to do is win one race.
Win and get in, baby.
So, I was going back and forth with this Kyle Larson, and the other Kyle that we just discussed, Mighty Mouse, the man who needs a few more inches, according to his wife, Kyle Busch. I think Kyle Busch, again, approaching this year very well, running very well. I just can't ignore the numbers with Kyle Larson.
Kyle Busch does not run that well at his home track in Vegas.
Yeah. Now, I will be unbelievably pissed off next week. If anybody else wins the race, fine.
But if Kyle does, then that's just
not our Kyle.
No, Kyle Busch.
Dirty Busch.
If Dirty Busch wins, that's going to frost us.
Yes. So I am going with Kyle Larson as well. The old guard. The 4 oldest members of Sports Frenzy are going with Kyle Larson. So that includes Sam and Bill. 6 of the 8 panelists have their picks in so far. Aaron is going with Joey Logano.
I almost doubled down.
Not a bad pick because he needs points.
I was close to doubling down.
Yes, and I don't think that's a bad pick at all. I don't know what Doug's doing. Doug's on the ayahuasca. I don't know what the hell the governor's doing, but the governor thinks Bubba Wallace. Maybe it's because Daniel Suarez won last week. Maybe he's seeing a pattern here.
Who knows?
But he's going with Bubba.
On a super speedway, yes.
There are 3 or 4 drivers who you would never take. Ricky Stenhouse, that type of driver, you would take on a super speedway because you don't want to burn one of your really good picks because there's a 50-50 chance that he's going to wreck out.
Yeah.
But yeah, Vegas is pretty vanilla, pretty safe track.
Yeah, you're not going to have... I would be surprised if we had the exciting racing that we did at Atlanta, even though it's cookie cutter design. It's still flatter. The corners don't have as much banking,
right?
So they don't carry as much speed through. But it still should be halfway entertaining.
Yep. All right, let's move on to baseball. Spring training is now fully underway. So the boys of summer are officially back.
That they are.
And
congratulations.
Guarded optimism. I am getting sick of people reporting it as a 3-year, $80 million deal because
it's a year-by-year deal.
That is not what it is. Cody Bellinger will return to the Chicago Cubs this year. Oh my God! I saw the picture from the press conference, and I saw that
Boris had to be up there.
That fucking troll sitting next to Bellinger and Jed Hoyer. Oh, I hate him so much.
Why did they have to give him the platform to speak, where he's pimping out his other players that haven't been signed yet?
Yeah, I got news for you, Scott. We're not signing them, so move along. Move along, buddy. Go talk to some other teams.
I like the dig Jed got on him. Said, yeah, we talked to Corey a little bit more than he wanted us to. Or Cody.
Yep, so basically it's a 1-year, $30 million deal. A little bit more than I would have paid. I was thinking 26, 27
but you're not
maybe.
Locked into a long-term $150 million deal that they wanted.
Right. And I think he will stay next year for another 30. Yeah. I think the opt-out that will come into play
will be after the second year.
Right, when it drops to $20 million. Then, if he's been playing well,
yeah, then he might be able to get.
If it's an absolute disaster, then we're screwed because he'll opt in.
Yeah,
and he's obviously playing like Jason Hayward. But again, it's not a Jason Hayward deal. So
right.
And we're still paying him! Still paying him! For all the bitching we do about Shohei Ohtani and the deferred money with the goddamn Dodgers. It's like a venereal disease with Jason Hayward and the Cubs. Every time I look at Spot Track to see how the Cubs are doing in terms of the luxury tax, I see $5 million deferred to Jason Hayward. Every year! How many years did we defer this deal?
It's ridiculous.
Again, it's just that little nattering, pestering $5 million that we can't spend on anybody else because of him. Oh, but he gave a great clubhouse speech during the rain delay.
It's that festering ingrown hair on the ass of humanity.
Yes. He's like the cucumber. Oh, we're going to take that cucumber thing for all it's worth.
Yes.
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
Oh, my God. All right. Some other news in baseball. Not a lot yet. And the other Boris clients, Snell, Chapman, Jordan Montgomery still sitting out there. Can't get their deals worked out. Everybody keeps saying, "Oh, Snell's going to the Yankees." No, he's not.
They don't have the money.
Because they'll have to pay double for him. They won't pay him double, but any contract they give him when it comes to salary tax penalties will double in terms of what they have to pay. So they give him $25 million, they'll have to pay 50, 25 to him, 25 back to the league. They're not doing it. They're just not. As much as you can hate the Yankees like we do, they're not stupid.
No, they are not. All right, I need to go off on a soapbox rant.
Go for it.
Fuck Jerry Reinsdorf. Damn him to hell. This asshole owner of the White Sox, wanting over $1 billion of public money to build a new stadium in the South Loop as part of as the anchor of a development. Threatening, well, when I die, the kids are going to have to sell the team to make money for the other co-owners. And then, a new owner is going to move the team out of town. Like it's a done deal. Stop pulling the hostage situation, you piece of shit. You did this back in the late 80s, threatening to move to St. Petersburg unless you got a new stadium. You got it right next door to Old Comiskey Park. Now you're trying to pull the same bullshit again. This is why the fans hate your stupid ass. You're a grubbing money piece of shit. You won't put any investment into the players. Just go away already. Sell the damn team before you die. You obviously don't give a shit about the fans. And the Bulls fans can say the same damn thing.
Is this a bad time to mention that Tim Anderson signed a 1-year, $5 million deal with the Marlins?
It's a make it or break it contract for him. It's the ultimate prove it deal.
Let me ask you this, though. Would he have taken that? Would you have been okay if he'd taken that kind of a deal with the White Sox?
No, we needed to move on.
Okay. I know you weren't a fan of his after the last year or two and his antics.
Yeah. No, I'm done.
Now, we've talked about some of these moves the smaller teams are making. We talked about the Royals with Bobby Witt Jr. We've talked about years past the Rays and locking up their younger players, not working out too well with Wander Franco because, again, they didn't know he was a borderline pedophile. But the Pirates are starting to get into this game a little bit. Now they have locked up young starting pitcher Mitch Keller for 5 years and $77 million. They, of course, signed Brian Reynolds. Remember, he was on the market last year. Everybody thought he was going to be a hot commodity, and they were going to trade him. Nope, they locked him up. So, you still got what? Ke'Bryan Hayes. You've got O'Neal Cruz. The Pirates are trying to do something here.
Or are they giving these getting these deals to make sweetheart trades?
See, I don't think you do that. I don't think you give these contracts out in the expectation of trading the players.
It's the Pirates.
I know, but when was the last time we saw a team that had one of these young players on a deal that was mutually beneficial, let's say, really bail out on that deal? Usually they don't.
Usually don't. So maybe they are actually going to try.
It would be more likely. Let's put it this way. It would be more likely that if the Cubs, for some ungodly reason, I don't think it'll happen with Counsell now in charge, but if for some ridiculous reason, a bunch of injuries, pitching staff is decimated, that the Cubs do not look like they're going to make the postseason, I could see them trading Cody Bellinger.
Yeah.
But these deals with the young players and locking them up long term,
you should be building for something.
And plus, you got to look at the cost-benefit analysis. I know I sound like an analytics geek, but this is business. This is not the on-field stuff. It's really, really hard when you have got this young talent and you've got them on a deal that's not outrageous. It's not $300-400 million. It's not Aaron Judge, Manny Machado money.
Yeah.
Really hard to give up on a deal like that. So
let's hope they put it to good use and can start fielding a contender.
Yeah, I mean, by all accounts, I've never been to their stadium, but by all accounts, it is one of the, if not the most beautiful stadiums in baseball.
Yeah,
now it's about time.
Gorgeous.
Now it's about time to put a team that
worthy
fits.
To play there.
Yes. So there you go. Now, of course, we wrap up baseball with, we're talking about the Pirates, a team that is unbelievably frugal, cheap. But we go on the flip side here to end our baseball discussion, where we talk about the New York Mets. And of course, the Mets last year spent record amounts of money, bringing in Max Scherzer, bringing in Justin Verlander, having to trade them away, and eating a ton of their salaries. So now they brought in Stearns, the former GM of the Brewers, notorious for having to manage cheap, frugally.
Being frugal, yes.
And that's what the Mets are kind of doing right now. But worst case scenario. Now, if you're not going to spend money and you're just going to build off what you've got and bring in second and third tier players to fill out your roster, the one thing you cannot have is injuries.
Yeah.
And
no, you cannot have injuries.
And right away, the guy who was supposed to take over as the number one, the ace of the pitching staff, Kodai Senga, who had a great year last year, shoulder issues, will start the season on the injured list.
Ouch.
So misery for Mets fans
once again
will continue. But of course, you're not miserable listening to us, right, Dave?
No, you can find us anywhere. Spotify, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, Amazon, Audible, iHeart, Sports Frenzy, baby.
Otherwise known as iHeartRadio. And of course, check out the Facebook page for all of our NASCAR picks.
Yep, and Radio Public will be leaving us March 31st. So those of you on that, start going to one of the others.
Yep. Please, we don't want to lose you. You got to find something appealing about one of these other platforms, right? You got to. It's like one girl rejects you, there's some more tang out there. You just got to find it. You just got to do it.
And we just told you.
The hunt for Red October, just focus in on somebody else. Turn your key to another platform. And we did try to fill you in on how the NASCAR thing works. So,
yep, there you go.
You look at the picks on the Facebook page. Baseball picks coming in a month. The March Madness picks
begins.
March Madness picks we'll be discussing here in a few weeks. Still deciding how we're going to handle that.
Traditional paper brackets, or do we modernize and go online?
Yep. So we tried it last year as a test. It seemed like it worked okay, but we can't get that
the play-in
round, that unofficial, official first round of 4 games. We can't get anybody.
The onlines are not doing it, and they need to.
All right, let's move on to, of course, our beloved NFL. Great news for all the teams out there. The salary cap jumped up.
Boy.
And it jumped up big time. Up $30.6 million, a 13.6% increase, up to $255.4 million. A lot of teams that thought they were in trouble.
They got some serious relief here.
Bears are in great shape, roughly $80 million.
Don't spend it all in this offseason. You've got to use that looking a couple years down the line. You've got young players who are going to be looking for their second contract. Just like Jalen Johnson. He's looking for a record deal for playing the secondary. Probably going to get it.
And the good thing is with the Bears, most likely they're going to reset the quarterback position. We've always talked about how the quarterback salaries really, really hamper a lot of these teams. The Chiefs, the Chargers, the Bengals, where their quarterbacks are making $50 million on average per year.
Yeah, they're having to cut key players.
Yeah, now this bump in the salary cap number really helps. But encouraging words within the last day or two from Caleb Williams, sounding like he is poo-pooing all the people saying that he did not want to play for the Bears.
Yeah, no. He's like, I'm not looking for the money or any of that. I just want to play the game that I love, and I want to be a legend in whatever city that I play in. If it's for the Bears, I relish the chance.
Yep, so good news there. Now,
I guess he said he's been watching video clips of Michael Jordan and Walter Payton. You can't go wrong if you want to be a legend in the city of Chicago by focusing on those two guys and their work ethic.
Yeah. And very, very encouraged by that. Very encouraged. Now, of course, Justin Fields waiting to see what his fate's going to be. Now, Ryan Poles, the GM, came out and said, we want to make a decision sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
We don't want to hold Justin Fields basically hostage. And now with Caleb Williams saying this, then I would put Justin Fields out there and say, what are you going to give me for him?
Yep. Yeah.
Atlanta, Vegas, what do you want?
Whoever.
Yep. Get the bidding war going now. Sooner rather than later. I agree completely with Poles about that. Get it over with now.
Giants could use a quarterback.
Plenty of options. There are plenty of options out there for Justin Fields. And he showed enough. It's not Mitch Trubisky 2.0.
No. Hell, Pittsburgh could use him.
Yep. Ironically, after they just ditched Mitch.
Yeah. God.
I did want to say one last thing about the salary cap here. Dave and I are both in our 50s. So we've been watching football for quite a while. We remember back to the time when there was no salary cap.
Right. When it
back
was
in
the
the
Wild
80s.
Wild West.
Yep. The first year, this is what blows my mind. And I know we're sick of talking about inflation and rising prices and the cost of tickets and all that crap. But just keep this in mind. We're going to go back only 30 years. We're going to go back 30 years to 1994. We just talked about here in 2024, the salary cap for the NFL, $255.4 million. The first year they instituted the salary cap, a hard cap, was 1994, 30 years ago. Any guess as to what that number was?
65 million.
Cut it in half. Close to half.
Wow.
The salary cap for the NFL teams in 1994, the first year they had an official cap, $34.6 million.
Wow.
Isn't that ridiculous?
That is insane.
And now only 30 years, 30 years later, it is up to $255.4 million. Just a little fun
tidbit
party tidbit. You can wow your friends and neighbors at the next party you go to with that one. All right, the Combine is on. Now, we mentioned Caleb Williams not going to be at the Combine. We'll do a pro day.
Yep, he's going through all the interviews. He's talking to everybody, but he's not doing the workout stuff.
Right. Started just this past Tuesday, the 27th.
Now, what is it? Marvin Harrison Jr. said he's not even doing a pro day?
He's not doing anything. Maserati Marv is not doing anything. No pro day, no workout at the combine, nothing.
That to me would be a little concerning. What's he hiding?
Yeah, his dad wasn't the smartest, sharpest tool in the shed. Got himself into some trouble at
Yeah.
times, even though great, I mean, obviously, world-class receiver, but probably giving his son a little bit of bad advice.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to set yourself apart, buddy.
Yep.
Because I've been hearing you've been slipping down some draft boards.
Yep. Now the combine will run as we tape here on the 28th through this coming Sunday, the 3rd. Not a lot of buzz yet coming out of anybody really blowing people away or.
It's still early-ish.
Yep. Franchise tags are also coming into play.
Yep.
A lot of running backs are not getting tagged, so the running back market is looking ridiculous.
The devaluation of the running back continues.
I mean, there's literally a dozen solid to star level running backs out there, including Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard.
Yeah, it's frightening, isn't it?
Yeah, now I wouldn't pay Tony Pollard jack shit because he screwed me over in fantasy football.
He is not a star back.
He had the chance. He had the chance. The perfect situation. They let Ezekiel Elliott go
to run him, to make him the feature, and he crapped all over himself.
Yes. So Dallas will probably end up going with one of these other guys. I'm hearing rumors that Derrick Henry, because people are wary about the tread on his tires and the beating, he's obviously, to me, a Hall of Famer. No doubt
absolutely.
Hall of Famer. But I understand the concerns. But they're looking now, I'm hearing teams are looking at like a thunder and lightning type pairing.
Yeah, putting him with the speedster and then him to get the power.
Oh, boy.
That would be phenomenal.
Yep. Gotta love that.
Go to Miami.
Franchise tag, though, is going to get slapped on one T. Higgins.
Yep, not surprising there.
Yeah, the Bengals
trying to buy themselves another year to get things lined up.
Yeah, this had to be, even though I think Zach Taylor proved to be one of the better, if not one of the top level coaches in the NFL, taking that team after Joe Burrow went down and keeping them above water, treading water, keeping them above 500. But yeah, like you said, they need to run this back one more year, get Joe Burrow healthy, give him his full complement of weapons, and again, see if they can topple the Kansas City Chiefs. Speaking of the Chiefs, and we talked about this kid, and again, now we'll get into the controversial stuff, the stuff that you love, Dave and I, to talk about. We talked about punter Matt Araiza. And the bullshit charges levied against him in a gang rape situation when he was at San Diego State, and how the Bills basically dumped him
before everything came out.
And of course, it was shown that he wasn't even close to being at the party.
Yeah, he wasn't even there when it happened.
But it took until now. And of course, it had to be the Chiefs because the Chiefs are pretty much bulletproof right now.
Yeah, they can do anything they want with whoever they want.
So the Chiefs bring in Matt Araiza. So very, very difficult for me to not say that's between Butker and now Araiza, best special teams in the league.
They've got two great kickers now.
Yeah. And on top of that, they get the bump on the salary cap, and they cut Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and that saves them another $12 million off the cap,
which was desperately needed for them.
Yeah,
because of how much they gave fucking Mahomes.
Yep, they've got a couple defensive players. Of course, Chris Jones, one of them. They're trying to figure out a way to bring at least one, if not both, of these stud defensive players. Snead, I believe, is the other one.
Yeah, Snead, they were talking about franchising.
Right. So one of those two,
And
they're going to have
putting
to
him on the trade block.
Yes. Yep.
So
If they can't reach a long-term deal.
Yeah.
So that's why this $12 million is very important, because now they could re-sign Jones or Snead, franchise the other, and like you said, if they cannot reach a long-term agreement, then they go ahead and they put him out for trade bait. And then finally, the Commanders, yes, we got rid of Daniel Snyder, but they still can't get out of their own way.
Nope. Oh my goodness. FedEx bails on the naming rights deal at their stadium 2 years early.
And they're allowed to.
They're allowed to because of the change in ownership.
So that's $15 million in lost revenue the new Commanders owners are looking at right off the bat.
That's what I was going to bring up.
Okay. Dave was giving me a look like he had something else. So
nope,
I want to make sure.
That was it. I didn't know if you had something other than that.
We're all simpatico. Of course,
all good.
As always, it usually works this way. Move on to college football. We haven't even gotten to the point yet where we have been able to watch and hopefully enjoy the 12-team playoff coming up for 24-25. The CFP committee is already looking at expanding to 2 more teams after the first 2 years of the 12-team playoff.
How about we just let the 12 run its course for a few years and see how it works out?
Oh, no, Dave. No.
Because why would we do something smart?
Because they're greedy bastards. Now, you can make an argument, who's greedier now, the players or...
That's true, with all the NIL money and now them becoming employees of the universities.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Of course, we talked about that. But, yeah, we've got a 2-year window here. Technically 24, 25, 25, 26, where they're stuck, quote unquote, with the 12-team playoff. But starting 26, 27, they could make changes. And of course, the Big Ten and the SEC
are running everything.
And they want 2 more teams in, and they want more automatic qualifiers, of course.
No, you do not get that bullshit. Earn it. Just because you may have somebody who finishes the regular season at the top of the heap and they may lose the conference championship doesn't automatically give you 2 teams to get in.
But that's what they want.
Well, screw you, assholes.
That's exactly
There's
what they want.
other conferences out there who are just as damn deserving.
Yep. And again, we've talked about it, and we are negative here on Sports Frenzy. Unfortunately, we tend to focus on the worst, and this is the worst. College football has become greedy on all sides. It's breaking down on all sides. You're seeing Nick Saban quitting because he doesn't want to deal with the NIL crap.
NCAA football is becoming worse than the NBA. God help me for saying it. But that's the level you're getting to right now.
Yep. And of course, speaking of the money going to the players, EA Sports, of course, puts out Madden every year. Huge moneymaker. Obviously, huge moneymaker in the video game industry, even though that industry is struggling right now. They, of course, EA Sports, finally, they're going to relaunch a game that they had out there a decade or so ago. College Football 25 will be coming out here in a few months. The players can opt in. They get $600 and a copy of the game if they allow their image to be used in the game. Here's an interesting thing, a very interesting thing about this. And I'm fine with this. I don't care.
And you know, $600 is a meager amount when you think of how many players there are that they would have to fill out rosters on.
Right.
I mean, that's a significant investment.
All the other shady crap that's going on with this NIL stuff, this is nothing.
This is fine. I have no issue with this at all.
But here's the problem I've got. Okay? Now, I know I play more of these sports games than you do. We both play Gran Turismo, but I play baseball,
Yeah.
basketball, football, where you do more of the adventure and the shooter stuff.
Yeah.
There is some kind of a way that EA Sports is telling everybody. Let's say, for example, let's pick a player. All right, who's the kid who's going to be the quarterback for Notre Dame from Duke?
Oh.
It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what his name is. Okay, let's just use him as an
Yeah.
example.
Was it Lincoln Riley?
No, that's the coach.
No, that's the coach.
USC
Never
coach.
mind.
Okay. Let's say this quarterback for Notre Dame, who came over from Duke, does not opt in. He does not want his name, image, or likeness used in EA Sports College Football 25. There is going to be something in the game where you can't create a player named with that kid's name. You will not be able to create a player because they have the create a player option.
Right.
You will not be able to create a player on your own as the person who bought the game, who shelled out $70 for it. You will not be able to create that player.
Because they did not give sign off on
So what, do you get to misspell the name? I mean, come on. How hard is it? You misspell the name and then you can go ahead and make him? I mean, really?
Come on, go off by one letter?
It's got to be, it's just stupid. It's stupid.
It's lame as hell.
If I pay $70,
my God, how many times did we not have anybody, but yet we still created?
Yeah. If I pay $70 for the game, I should be able to make damn well anybody I want to. But now, you can't make him because he didn't allow you to make him. No, he didn't allow EA Sports
to
make an official version.
Now, as the owner of the game, I can do whatever the hell I want with
That's
it.
how I look at it, yeah.
Yeah, you cannot dictate that piece. Riley Leonard.
Okay, you were close.
I was close-ish. I had the L and a Riley in there, so.
Well, I was just trying to think of players who are going to be actually around this year who aren't going to the pros. And I didn't really want to try to butcher what DJ Ugalele. All right, other little tidbits in the world of college football. UMass finally going to find a home in football. I believe they've been independent. They are going to join the Mid-America Conference in 2025.
Good for them.
Can't find a job in the pros, so Eric Bieniemy going to be the new offensive coordinator at UCLA.
You know what? Take a step back. Do a little prove it. Maybe he gets a college gig. Hone his skills there, and then that bolsters him going forward.
Yep, and then finally, poetic justice for me, as I hate nepotism in all its forms, all its shapes. Just because your dad or your mom was talented doesn't mean you get the God-given right to follow in their footsteps.
You have to earn it.
So, Chris Collinsworth's son, Jack, with the pathetically stupid spelling of J-A-C, Jack Collinsworth, after 2 years, is out at Notre Dame as the TV play-by-play voice. Guess who's coming back?
Oh, God.
Guess who's coming back?
Who?
Oh, it's not offensive. Dan Hicks. Dan Hicks is
He's
coming back.
He's all right.
Dan
not
Hicks
horrible.
All right, let's move on to college basketball. We talked about college football. Let's talk about college basketball. Dave, the controversial topic of the week. Court storming. As Duke's Kyle Filipowski might have tweaked an ankle because Wake Forest fans stormed the court after they beat Duke, even though I believe they were favored to win the game. Or at least it was not a huge point spread.
No.
You know? It wasn't a massive upset. Let's put it that way.
It wasn't court storming worthy.
Do we get rid of it? Do we keep it? Do we just ignore it and it'll go away?
I don't have a major issue with it. It's part of sports. It's part of the collegiate experience. Suck it up, you little pansy buttercups.
It's kind of how I feel about it too. Yeah.
I mean, come on.
It's one of these things.
That's
Just
the
let it
moment.
go for a week or two. Again, our society is overreactionary. We go too far. When something bad happens, we go too far in trying to fix it. Let it breathe.
There are some
Let
games,
it breathe.
There are situations where you have a massive upset where it's warranted. It needs to be done. Let the fans celebrate.
Yeah, I think this is a non-topic. This is a non-controversy that, of course, the media has to blow up and make into a big deal.
Because they have nothing better to do, because goddamn Ted Turner to hell for creating the 24-hour news cycle, which is single-handedly destroying this country. With the fake news they have to generate to fill the time.
Can't argue with that. Cannot argue with that. Houston now, #1 team in the country. Your buddy, your favorite coach of all time, Kelvin Sampson.
Douchebag.
And of course, I cannot believe I'm going to say these words. I cannot believe I am going to say these words. Given how the season began, Notre Dame's basketball team might be better than the Miami Hurricanes right now.
The young Irish players are starting to gel together.
Even though they're 11-17, they have won a couple decent games the last week or two.
They're coming together and getting the game experience that they needed. They are a really young team.
And meanwhile, the Hurricanes continue to implode. I don't know why. They are down to 15-14 now.
Ouch.
They're on a 7-game losing streak. They are 4-12 in their last 16 games. So the NIT might not even be in the picture for them. I mean, I don't know what's going on with that team, with Larinaga this year.
Did he lose the locker room?
Well, how do you go from the highest ranking the program's ever been at in the AP poll earlier in the year and then just fall off the face of the earth? And I look today and I cannot see an injury.
Yeah, that
could be impacting this team.
There's something there where they are not responding to them.
Oh boy, yeah. So they're going to have to win a couple games here at the end of the season to hopefully maybe sneak into the NIT. I mean, it's just pathetic how bad they've played the last couple months, especially when they got into the ACC. The conference
schedule is killing them.
Do we want to talk about the Blackhawks?
They're not dead last anymore. They're tied with the Sharks. But the problem with that, the Sharks have 2 games in hand on them.
Yeah.
So they're still bad. That. Now, I guess there was one hell of a party in Chicago over the weekend, gearing up for Sunday night's jersey retirement of Chris Chelios' number 7. So, but that was marred by Patrick Kane scoring the game winner in overtime after Chelly specifically said, "Kaner, don't ruin my night."
Yep. Coming back as a Detroit Red Wing.
Yep. Where Chelios finished his career.
Yep.
So there you go. I guess it was a hell of a time. I guess that suite was rocking. They had Wayne Gretzky up there with them, Kid Rock, Eddie Vedder. I guess there was one hell of an after party with everybody singing, with Dempster there and everybody performing together. Patty Smythe, John McEnroe.
Now, Patty Smythe, of course, a scandal.
Yep.
Oh,
So I guess she broke out the Warrior. And Spiegel, who's late afternoons on the Score, he's got a cover band, Tributosaurus. He was asked to perform with some of his guys as part of it, so he got to play with everybody. He was regaling the audience Monday with everything that was going on.
Of course, I have a soft spot in my heart for Patty Smythe because rumors were back in the day, after David Lee Roth left Van Halen in the mid-'80s, she was one of the 3 or 4 singers that Eddie was considering. He was thinking of taking a wild swing at it, and because we've heard Patty Smythe, we heard Daryl Hall.
Yeah.
I mean, there were some crazy names out there being considered, supposedly.
Yeah, but
to take
vocally,
over.
she could have pulled it off.
It would have been interesting. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And I still hate how Gary Cherone gets flack. He did his best. He did everything he needed to do. If you can't listen to Van Halen 3 and appreciate it, then fuck you.
Then
Sorry.
you are not a true Van Halen fan.
But that's just me. That is not the worst Van Halen album ever.
No.
I'll always say Balance. No. Sammy's Last was the
Balance
worst.
was bad.
I do need to apologize, by the way. Yes, we always say here on Sports Frenzy, we don't apologize unless
we were factually incorrect.
Yes, last week, as we were talking about the Osceola Magic, and Mac McClung, of course, slam dunk champion, 2-time slam dunk champion, and how they play at the Silver Spurs Arena down in Kissimmee, Florida, where I lived in that area for 10 years. I made the mistake of saying I saw Pearl Jam at the Silver Spurs Arena. I did not get tickets to that show. I wanted to go, but it is small, and the tickets were gone in like 5 seconds, so I did not get in to see that show. I saw them later on down the road after moving back up here at the Van Andel Arena in Grand Rapids.
There you go.
But I apologize. They did play the Silver Spurs Arena. It was a Rock the Vote show, but smaller venue, did not even stand a chance in holy hell, even though I only lived a few miles away, of getting in to see them. So I did not see them. I'm sorry. October the 8th, 2004, I did not get to see Pearl Jam that night at the Silver Spurs Arena. All right, so let's move on to golf. And by the way, we hope you are still enjoying the nonstop format. You pause the podcast whenever you want.
We just keep rolling right along.
Whenever you want to get a beer, whenever you want to go to the bathroom, you pause it, you do it. We're not going to force these breaks on you anymore. So we move on to golf. And this is going to be a theme here for the last segment. It's going to be something we bring back in here. Maybe towards the end, Dave.
Perhaps.
We all know what happens at the end of every Sports Frenzy episode.
Yes, we do.
But I am not going to pick on a young man. That is not what we do here. We'll pick on his father, but we won't pick on him.
That's right.
So Charlie Woods failed to advance in a PGA pre-qualifying event. Unfortunately, did not play well. 16 over par.
You know what? So what? He's still a young guy. He's going to have plenty of time.
And again, we're not going to pick on the kids, but later on might have something to say about a father or two who they seem to put their kids in these positions. But again, and I hate to hear the people harassing him. You won't believe one story I heard about Charlie Woods at this pre-qualifying event.
Leave the kid alone.
Well, yeah, and there wasn't a huge crowd there, but there was still the bless you.
Thank you.
The nut job, crazy, stupid people. One grandmother. Now, I heard this, but I did not verify. So I will put it out there. But it does not shock me. It does not surprise me at all in this day and age. Grandmother brought her granddaughter to this Charlie Woods pre-qualifying event, trying to introduce them to
Oh my
basically
God.
whoring out her granddaughter.
Come on. That is absolutely freaking ridiculous.
And the irony, kids, should not be lost on you.
No, it should not.
She whored her granddaughter out to Charlie Woods, Tiger Woods' son. Just think about it. Let that stew, okay? If you can't figure out the bitter irony of that, maybe you need to start listening to a podcast about knitting, okay? Peter King, one of the few guys I actually liked who would write and talk about football. He wasn't quite as douchey as Bob Costas. He was a little arrogant, but not over the top. I could kind of relate to him to a certain extent. Peter King is retiring. So no more Monday morning quarterback. He is going away. Supposedly not completely, but...
No, his regular articles are done.
Yep. One of the few people in sports media I actually liked. Oh, here we go with the Saudis again. Blood money! Blood money!
Where's ours? We'll take some.
Now the Saudis have taken over naming rights for the next 5 years of the ATP rankings.
Isn't that convenient?
Why is nobody up in arms about this?
Because everybody's getting the blood money now.
And again, recurring theme we will revisit in a few minutes. But just keep in mind, again, we talked about the NBA last week and them renaming their mid-season tournament trophy. And now the ATP, the top-level rankings for the tennis players across the world, the Saudis now have naming rights for the next 5 years. Okay? Just keep this in the back of your minds.
The Saudis are buying out golf.
Well, this is tennis. But.
Sorry.
Now, before we get on to Moments of Silence and America's favorite game show, we got to talk about basketball real quick, the NBA. My Magic are 33-26. Still hoping that they can somehow get into at least the 6th slot and avoid the play-in tournament. They've got a soft part of their schedule right now. Unfortunately, Paolo Banchero has been sick, missed the last 2 games. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. He'll be back soon so they can beat up on the likes of the Wizards and the Hornets.
And there you are.
Now we've got this arms race going on with the coaching salaries. God forbid Greg Popovich can't be the highest paid one. Eric Spoelstra can't be the highest paid one because of Monty Williams being the highest paid one.
But wait! A 2-year extension for Steve Kerr.
Which now makes him the highest paid coach in the NBA. 2 years, $35 million extension, which coincides with Steph Curry's contract ending at the same time now.
Yep, so they can have a retirement party for the ages.
You want to hear the unbelievably nasty rumor that's going around right now? Klay Thompson is a free agent after this year, which will free up a considerable amount of money, supposedly. I thought the Golden State Warriors were way over the cap, but possibility of trading for LeBron James.
Didn't they try and trade for him this year already?
Well, nobody's even talking about Chris Paul because he's been out.
Yeah.
And that he's an
It's
anchor in terms of the money. I guarantee they would love to get rid of him. Maybe that's who they send out to the Lakers to get LeBron. And of course, wouldn't that just be fitting that the biggest mercenary douchebag of all time lands again, ass backwards into good luck, and gets another title or two?
Yeah.
Don't you dare! Don't you
do
dare
it.
get six,
Don't do
because
it.
I don't
Don't
want to
do
hear
it.
him get six and compare himself to Michael Jordan. I don't want to hear that bullshit.
Nope, 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 nope. Not at all.
The Atlanta Hawks, their star player, Trae Young, finger surgery. He is out at least 4, if not longer, weeks. And speaking of LeBron James, again, the Lakers lost to the Suns here this past week. And they whined and they cried about the quote unquote inconsistent officiating in the game. And if I've got to fucking hear LeBron James fucking whine about the officials, he thinks no foul should ever be called on him, but every time somebody looks at him cross-eyed, it should be a technical foul and toss the player from the game. I hate him.
He's an egomaniac who needs to just shut up and play.
Does he not understand the damage he does to his legacy? Every time he opens his fucking mouth and does this.
He does not. Doesn't care.
And nobody cares that you won the inaugural first season Saudi Arabia blood money mid-season trophy, LeBron. Nobody cares. Nobody.
Because it's a joke. It's a complete and
you act like
joke.
People are so stupid, and for the most part they are. Not in this studio, but you think people are so stupid they look over the decision, that stupid idiocy, putting that on TV, and all the whining here, and then we'll get to the talk about your son. We're not stupid. We see it all. Everybody knows Michael Jordan had a gambling problem. But guess what? He didn't get in front of a microphone or go on social media and talk about it.
No, it was there. It never impacted his game.
Finally, one last thing. Got to get Dave's opinion on this. I throw the softballs to him. He knocks them out of the park. That's how we do it. World Rugby. I know, rugby, right?
The hell is this going?
World Rugby is mandating the use of smart mouth guards. Every player must use a smart mouth guard, which
will keep them from talking.
No, which monitors the impact of head-on-head collisions and side hits
to track concussions.
Now, I'm very curious to see what you think of this, because instead of dealing like the NFL does with the sideline doctors or the people upstairs looking down over the field to decide if a player looks woozy or looks like they should be pulled into the blue tent, the smart mouth guard
is going to measure the impact. You know, I actually don't mind that. That's better than somebody trying to guess on something.
So what's going to happen here with World Rugby is if you have a, quote, large impact event, which is at least in linear force. Now, there's also a measurement for side hits, but for linear head-on-head impact, 70 Gs.
Whoo!
70 Gs or more, you are pulled off the field and you have to get looked at and evaluated immediately. So it's at least a standard. It's not hit and miss.
Yeah, it's not a guessing game where it's, oh, I'm going to give him one more play before we pull him or whatever. Yeah, this is a cut, dry, no doubt about it. If you want to regulate player safety, this is a great tool to do it.
Now you just have to get these idiots in the NFL who like to use their mouthpieces as fashion statements. Yeah, to go along. Fangs look like bling,
Yeah. Or if they have them hanging out of their mouth during the play.
like a certain multiple-time Super Bowl MVP quarterback.
Yeah.
All right, now let's move on to moments of silence. I shall start us off because I don't know how many of you out there know this, but when I was younger, when the Bears sucked back in the mid and late 70s, all we had was Walter Payton.
Peyton Wright, Peyton up the middle.
Yeah, the great quarterbacks.
Parsons punt.
Yeah, Bob Avellini, Bobby Douglas.
God. How many times do we see Avellini come off the field with a bloody broken nose?
So I have to admit, at those times when I was at my lowest when it came to football, I did enjoy watching the Dallas Cowboys.
Never.
I loved Roger Staubach back then when they were a likable team and they had the rivalry going with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Those two teams, I love both of them. It's not like now where I go, oh God, the Chiefs again. Steelers Cowboys in the Super Bowl was fantastic. And the Cowboys had Roger Staubach. They had Newhouse in the backfield, Dorsett, and they had the receivers, Hall of Famer Drew Pearson and Golden Richards. And unfortunately, this past week, Golden Richards, great wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys, passed away. So a little bit personal for me, but the great Golden Richards has left us. So thoughts and prayers.
Yep. One of the greats in hockey, Jean-Guy Talbot, won 7 Stanley Cups with the Montreal Canadiens, that great team. He played in 7 Cup championships, getting 7 wins, has passed away. So thoughts and prayers to Jean-Guy's family and friends.
And then, of course, a lot of the times we have to talk about athletes who've gone too soon. This one's this is brutal. J.O. Archer, motocross star, X Games medalist. Of course, not something we normally would talk about here, but passes away after trying to do, I believe, a triple backflip.
Yeah, he was the first one to land it in competition.
I don't even want to think visually about what happened.
I know. It's just...
But this is the life that these extreme athletes live.
Yep.
And unfortunately, this happens probably a little bit more often with them than most.
Yeah.
In the world of sports. But again, we pass along our thoughts and prayers.
Yep. And just today, Jose De Leon, 13-year veteran pitcher in Major League Baseball, played with the Pirates, the Cardinals, the White Sox, just to name a few. Actually, no, he passed away the 25th. Sorry, I just saw it today. Passed away of cancer at the age of 63. So, 89, led the National League in strikeouts. So, thoughts and prayers go out to his family and friends.
All right. Unfortunately, and here on Sports Frenzy, no holds barred, no holding back. You know what time it is. It is time to
pivot. We must pivot.
It is time for America's favorite game show, otherwise known as the final segment here on Sports Frenzy each and every week. It is the Red Foreman Dumbasses of the Week, but in game show format, it is
Dumbass or Not.
And of course, your contestant, the one and only, the greatest of all time, the Conquistador Dave Height. And I, of course, am your humble host, the master of ceremonies,
the maestro of ceremonies,
his brother from another mother. I am Maestro Kevin Crane. It is time for 4 contestants here on Dumbass or Not. Let us begin.
We are judge, we are jury, but we do not get to play executioner.
God damn it. Damn it. When we get to the weekend edition, I think we should. Because the weekend edition
is rife.
Oh, we're going to have like 7 or 8. That's how bad things are in the world of pop culture. All right, start off with an easy one. A softball. Lob it in here. 50 mile an hour. No brainer.
Batting practice fastball.
Yank it over the fence out in right center. Richard Sherman. And I almost want to say, I fucking told you so. I've been telling you people this since this podcast started. How this guy is snowing all of you. How you all think, oh, he went to Stanford. He's a smart guy. He's not a thug. I have told you. He is scamming all of you.
Lurking under the surface.
Of course, in 2022, with this podcast up and running, we pointed out he got arrested on 2 misdemeanor charges, including a DUI and domestic violence. Remember, drunk, banging on the house of his wife or partner at the time? Well, guess what happened again with the genius, the smart Richard Sherman? Got another fucking DUI this week.
And that's strike 2.
Will he see any penalties? Will Amazon dump him?
Probably
from
not.
Their pregame and halftime? Of course not. Because the standards are different. And I don't know why. Because, again, he's a very smooth talker. He's much better at speaking than a lot of these other idiots they put in the booth or put on these shows.
But come on.
But there is a problem there. There is a problem with him. And he needs help.
And this is only the second one that we know about.
Well, we talked about LeBron James. Well, didn't we hear LeBron James here over the last couple of years talk about how he wants to wait and play for a team that will draft his son so they can play together? And I do believe, I think only last year, before, again, we're not picking on the kids.
No.
Bronny had a heart issue, a serious heart issue. And thank God he has come back from it. And he's playing again with USC. But Daddy set this all up. Daddy bragged about how great Bronny was. Before the heart issue popped up.
Based on bragging.
In 2023, LeBron basically said, Bronny is better than some NBA players in the league right now. Okay? And again, we're not picking on the kid.
No, we're picking on the idiocy of the father.
So LeBron does all this, says all this. Says he's going to position himself to play with his son before he retires.
Putting way too much damn pressure on his poor son.
So now the mock drafts are coming out. Because the NBA season eventually will end, even though it seems like it goes on fucking forever. It will end this summer, and then there will be the draft. And one of the prominent mock drafts is out. And they said if they don't think he's coming out this year, he would not be drafted. If he comes out in 2025, next year, based on how he's playing right now, this draft had him going early in the second round, 39th. LeBron's got to get on social media and start talking about, why won't you just let him be a kid? Why won't you
Dad, why wouldn't you just let him be a kid?
Let the kid be a kid is the quote.
Yeah, where was that when you were pushing all of this on him? Why do you probably think he suffered the heart issue? Because he's stressed out from all the pressure you're putting on him.
Couldn't have said it better myself. But we've got another overbearing star athlete father to get to. Now, this is a two-parter. First part does not include this overbearing golf father. I'm actually going to rip on the Live Golf champion, Taylor Gooch. Now, of course, we mentioned him when he won the championship last year. We're trying to keep an open mind. We're not as fanatical about, the Live Golf being evil like a lot of other people. Rory McIlroy, even though he's now, I'm okay with it now because I have no spine.
Because I got bought out under the table.
So, but Live Golf champ Taylor Gooch is mad. He doesn't like the fact that the Masters field is not being chosen the way it used to. Now, it used to be based on a lot of different things, including the golf rankings. Now, they still let former champions play. They still let former major champions play.
Yeah.
So it's not like Brooks Koepka, Jordan Spieth, these guys are going to play.
Yeah.
They're going to.
Rahm will be there.
Right. I looked at the list of the top 50 golfers right now, and they showed who, under the new rules, would not get to play in the Masters. And there's like 4 or 5 guys, and you, outside of Taylor Gooch, you wouldn't know them. But Taylor Gooch is not going to get invited to the Masters.
Does he really deserve to be invited to the Masters?
Again, under the old rules, he would have been because he's in the top 50. But again, the world rankings do not matter anymore.
Right.
Because of this split, this rift. So Taylor Gooch says that the Masters this year, the champion should have an asterisk by his name because it's not fair and they're not doing it the same as they did it in the past. Basically, he's mad because he's not invited to the party.
Basically, he's mad because he wasn't good enough to win a major to be able to stay on that invite list. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Dumbass.
Yeah. So now part 2 of this brings in our buddy Tiger Woods. Jon Rahm, of course, was the latest big, huge name to take the Live Golf money. And he admits it, says, I did it for the money.
Yeah.
Hundreds
they
of
all
millions,
did.
Hundreds of millions of dollars. You
Hell
kidding
yeah.
me? And again, we tried, you can say blood money, blood money. Don't be a hypocrite. We talked about in the last couple of weeks the NBA and now the WTA taking blood money. So where are the critics for these sports organizations? Nobody ever criticizes the NBA for their dealings with China and now the Saudis. But Live Golf, all of a sudden,
oh, they're evil.
Still the evil poster child for Saudi blood money. But Jon Rahm tried to get a hold of Tiger Woods. Texted him, trying to explain his decision. Tiger won't return his text.
Because Tiger's a little bitch.
Can't say any more than that. I believe that that's the perfect answer. So, finally, this one's a piece of cake. And this is borderline, in my opinion, pornography. But this has got to be one of the big, this could be already late February 2024, the Dumbass of the Year award.
Does this win the Golden Cucumber?
You can see the Golden Cucumber. You can see the Golden Cucumber through the pants that Nike and Fanatics have put together to give to Major League Baseball players. And if you don't believe me, go out and look at a couple of these pictures. There are literal pictures of players posing like we would for our high school yearbook pictures. with these see-through pants with their balls hanging out. That's why I said it's borderline pornography. There's a picture of one guy bending over on the field stretching, and you can see all of the equipment.
They're supposed to be wearing a cup.
Well, the cup's probably see-through too, if an
Cup check.
But I mean, the tame pictures out there show.
Coaches used to go around with a bat. Cup check. Click.
But the tame pictures out there show like Shohei Ohtani and Yamamoto, the two big acquisitions for the Dodgers, just
airbrushed.
No, because it's their junk ain't showing. But the thing is, you can see it's just trash. They tuck their jerseys in. You can see the tails
of the jerseys through the pants. Oh my God, this is so pathetic.
Yeah, the bad ones are the ones where you can actually see the balls and the junk and the equipment and the cucumbers.
Where's the... They're supposed to be wearing cups and jock straps. It's equipment. You don't want your junk smashed by a... Oh my God.
Supposedly remedies are coming, but
this whole new uniform is a total fucking disaster.
There were already issues, as you were alluding to. There were issues pointed out earlier with the lettering on the back. The players' names are shrunken on the back because they're not going to do the stitched-in lettering anymore.
No, it's all vinyl now, too. And then the letters and the numbers are sticking to their backs, despite the breathability of the material.
Right. Now, funny, we talked earlier about the Pirates and how maybe they've got their act together. The Royals were smart enough to appeal to the league and say, we want the old stitch back numbers and letters, and they got it. So the Kansas City Royals are the only team smart enough.
Ones.
So they've got the old stitching set up on the back of their jerseys for the names and the numbers.
Yeah, so they're not going to be miserable.
Yeah, this is all like that old Seinfeld episode. Cotton uniforms. Great idea, George.
They're breathable.
Great idea, George. Cotton uniforms. All right, next up is the weekend edition, kids. Do not forget to check us out, your Saturday morning hangover cure.
Your Uncle Kev and your Uncle Dave will get you through and tell you what to listen to, what to watch, what to read, or what to avoid.
We've got True Detective Night Country. We've got a new album from Honeymoon Suite going back to the 80s.
We got story times.
And a plethora of dumbasses. Double what we had here on the sports edition.
And the beginnings of our Oscar previews.
Yeah, the Oscar preview will be a blast. We're going to go back through history. But you're going to have to check it out Saturday morning. For now, we say ta-ta.
Ta-ta.